I was constantly in this Navy mindset. And when I knew that it was my last day of service, I went and I picked up my separation orders. I did everything that I needed to do. And mentally, I knew that it was done and it was over and it was my last time doing anything Navy related. It was like this sense of freedom.
Welcome to Your Story Doesn't End Here, the mental health podcast for military and veterans. I'm your host, Rachel, and my mission with this podcast is to be a voice for those who don't have a voice, bring awareness to mental health issues, and provide value and solutions to help make life more abundant.
Hey everyone, it's Rachel. I just wanted to start out this episode by expressing my utmost gratitude to each and every single person that tunes in to this podcast every single week to listen and support and really just back this massive mission for changing mental health in the military. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, it means the world to me. And I have such a huge vision of creating change that seeing other people that are for this cause, that are supporting this cause, it really, really warms my heart every single week that I see the people tuning in and listening. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so much. I wanted to do an episode this week, just me chatting about my reflection after 1 year out of the Navy. I separated September 2021 after 6.5 years of service as an aviation electronics technician. I spent majority of my service at one place, so I didn't get to really experience a whole lot of the Navy. I did, but I didn't. I guess it just depends on perspective. I was never on a boat. I was in the aviation, the P3 community. So I definitely saw a different side of things than a lot of other people see, I guess. And I started shore duty when I was in. But anyway, besides the point, this episode is about my life after the Navy. So, I want to start out by talking about my journey from the day that I got out, I guess, up until now, because it's not at all what I thought it would be. I think when when we first leave the service, and this is kind of something that's been a general consensus from a lot of veterans that I've talked to, it seems like there's this immense sense of freedom. And it's interesting because I had my 60 days plus, I want to say, of leave at the end of my service. I had accumulated quite a few leave days. And you think that you kind of get this break during that time period. But realistically, even during that time period, my brain was still in Navy mode. I was still in, I guess I'll call it go mode because I don't know what else to title that, but I was constantly in this Navy mindset. And when I knew that it was my last day of service, I went and I picked up my separation orders. I did everything that I needed to do. And mentally, I knew that it was done and it was over and it was my last time doing anything Navy related. It was like this sense of freedom. And with that sense of freedom comes a huge sense of overwhelm as well. And so I actually found myself for probably a solid 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, really just doing nothing. I didn't, I don't even know for a while if I really left my house. Like I know, and I've seen it opposite for some people. I've seen some people that, they vacation, they travel the world, but I also see quite a few people who have this time period where they really just do nothing. And that was definitely me. Now, just kind of a disclaimer here, when I got out of the service, I was also pregnant. COVID was in full swing. I ended up separating or dropping, excuse me, my nursing school program that I planned to go to. And really, all my plans for getting out of the Navy were completely changed overnight. And so it definitely threw me for a loop, and I was experiencing a lot of changes all at one time. So some challenges that I faced that were very specific to me with my pregnancy. I was due in January and was separating in September. I felt like I was kind of in a limbo and I couldn't really do a whole lot with my life. But a few things that I knew for sure, I knew I didn't want to work a 9 to 5. I was really mostly in nursing school because I really liked learning the skills. I liked being in school. I loved learning. And I really did enjoy my cohort and class that I was going to school with. But, life happens for us. I truly believe that. And so, with me kind of mourning the loss of nursing school and understanding that I was experiencing this massive change in my life with having a baby, I had to kind of figure out what I wanted the rest of my life to look like, or at least the next step. And it was really hard for me to figure that out. Some days I still feel like I'm a little bit in limbo, but I have a lot more direction now than I did a year ago, or really even 6 months ago. But I spent months probably just kind of figuring things out. The difference, I think, between me and a lot of other people that I see separate from the service is that I fully went the entrepreneurial route, which is not easy to do at all. I always say, at least lately, that being a mom on top of being an entrepreneur is incredibly challenging because you're in charge of your own day, but you're not in charge of your own day because, there's that mom part. And so I have an 8-month-old baby girl now. I am running 3 businesses, and my life is absolutely nothing like I would have expected it to look like. If you'd asked me a year ago what I thought my life would look like today. But a couple things that I wanted to talk about, just kind of some pieces of advice that I would give some service members that are separating from the military. And again, keep in mind that my situation is such a very unique situation, but if I can help anyone in any way, I would love to just kind of give my insight on what it was like for me in hopes that maybe it'll help someone else. So prepare for that culture shock. It does not matter if you spent your time shore duty. It doesn't matter if you're on a boat. It doesn't matter if you were P3s, P8s. There is some kind of culture shock. You have to think that every single day that you're in the military, you're living that military lifestyle, which is nothing like the civilian lifestyle. It doesn't really matter what job you go into. I feel like even if you were to go back as a civilian contractor, it's still going to be different. You're not going to have the watches. There's certain things that are just kind of ingrained into our minds in the military. I think I saw on Facebook the other day someone that was talking about like the fingernails and the hair, and understanding once you separate that you now have this autonomy over your body, that you can do what you want when you want. You don't have to ask permission to leave the area anymore. You don't have to ask permission to dye your hair a certain color, do your nails a certain way. You are free. And there is just, I don't know how to explain it. But there's a culture shock with that. And so prepare for that. I didn't think that there would be one because I thought that since I didn't go to war, and since I didn't have anything crazy as far as 11-month deployments, etc. during my time served, I didn't think there'd be that big of a culture shock, but there definitely was. And that seems to be kind of the general consensus from other veterans that I talked to that have separated. If you are experiencing multiple changes at one time, just be kind to yourself. Understand that you're separating from the military. Maybe you're moving back to your home state, which is going to be different. Maybe you're moving to a completely different state. You're starting a different job. Maybe you have a new family. Maybe you just had a baby. There's a lot of changes that happen all at one time when you separate, and it can be a lot for the brain to handle. So be kind to yourself. And if you're not moving at the rate that you expected yourself to, that's okay. Just take it one day at a time. know that it's okay if you feel lost for a period of time. Like I said, there's still times where I feel like I don't really have a sense of direction, but I know I do. And it's just kind of taking it one day at a time. But the biggest piece of advice that I could give anyone separating is to pursue something that you love and you are passionate about. I cannot stress this enough. I see people that get out, they go work at McDonald's, they go work fast food, they go work at a restaurant. Some of them are contractors for the military. Some people absolutely love what they do when they get out of the military. I've seen friends of mine that are thriving, and some people hate it and complain every single day. Do something that sets your soul on fire. Does not matter if people think you're crazy. There's a couple different routes I could have gone. I could have still to this day could go get a 9 to 5 job, but I know it's not in alignment with what I want and what my future looks like for my family. And so, as hard as it is mentally sometimes to keep going with what I'm doing, I still do it every single day. And I recognize that I'm in a position where I'm privileged to have a husband who supports me to be able to stay at home with my baby and go the entrepreneurial route and experience the failures that I've experienced. But there's always a way to make it happen in your life. And so if you are a separating service member and maybe you want to start a business, I've interviewed people on this podcast who have done just that. They have gotten out, they started a business, they're thriving in their life. I've interviewed people and I've talked to people outside of the podcast who have gotten out of the military and they get a contracting job or they get a job similar to what they did in the service and they're thriving in life. You have to figure out what it is that you love. And if you don't know what that is, just try different things, build those skills, experience different things, just live your life and learn along the way and understand that the military has ingrained a mindset that failure is not okay, but it is 1000% okay. Failure is how we learn. And so you almost have to rewire your mind once you separate to live that thriving lifestyle. And so it's a journey, but people ask me all the time, do you regret separating from the Navy? And I say no. I need that kind of lifestyle where I have freedom. It's one of my highest values. Family and freedom are two of my highest values in my life. And the military didn't align with that for me. So I love that I am now in a position where I can advocate for mental health for service members, veterans, and I can speak louder. My voice is louder outside of the military than it was when I was in. And so I am extremely grateful for this journey that I've been on the last year. I'm super excited to do another update a year from now to see where I'm at 2 years after separating from the service. But again, you guys, thank you for tuning in and listening and supporting. And we will catch you every single Monday, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen in today. Each week, I'll be bringing you value in the mental health space and its direct impact on service members and veterans. If you feel you personally got value today from this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a 5-star rating and review and share this to your audience. Until next time, remember, your story matters, your mental health matters, and your story doesn't end here.